and I love it here. I'm laughing because I have no clue what's here. But god dang it, I'm gonna get curious and lean into it like I know it will all be all good for me. Good for us.
We are live.
People in my life. I don't have to re-examine, to reposition in my life. I am honest with who really got what it takes to connect with me and what I offer to connection. On some real-ish, my worth is not based on how much I give. Even if I am misinterpreted or misunderstood, I know I'm not being distant. I am now gravitating to the vibes that best suit my energy. I'm picky with who I allow into my inner courts. I am my own verification. I embrace learning relational intelligence to enrich how I relate and invite others to relating deeper, even if parts of me are still tender. I am surrounded only by others who feel like honey. I have the wisdom to see through agendas, to play any individual or collective racial wounds against my emotional energy and free thinking. The power within me is stronger than the 1% that attempts to control my energetic wealth and well-being. My energy is the truest wealth in existence. I am made in the image of God, and I am opening to realizing that more. This is my truest identity, and no one can tell me otherwise. 2019 was a launching pad to my truest thrive ever. I'm selective where I place my emotional resources and jewels.
Yes, good stuff.
I open up to only those worthy of my trust. I am worth connections that have spiritual depth. I no longer have to be the strong one, the spiritual one. I have accepted a aligned tribe. I now know that toxic energy of those close to me are not alchemized by my spiritual relationship with myself and kindness towards them, with a swiftness and humility. I bow out of that and let their life be their teacher. I love people, but my energy tolerance budget is hella bougie.
Good
morning. I gotta watch my budget on this energy here. Hey.
This is good energy. This is amazing energy. Let's start this thing off right. Yes. That is Tony Jones. And of
what
course,
if you could make a
man. She always brings good energy. Always brings good energy when it comes to, affirming the things that we want to see happen over our lives. And I have put it as a practice to listen to one of her affirmations daily, and it totally is life affirming. Like it resets your whole day. No matter how you wake up, you have to reset and reshift and realign to that. So it's been an amazing introduction. Thanks to Dr. Clark for introducing her to me.
Absolutely.
And bringing her to my world, because I feel like she's mine to share with everybody else I know. So again, welcome to SoulCare Saturday. That was Tony Jones. Of course, sharing one of her mantras. I think it's called Energy Budget. And it's an amazing way to wake up this morning, an amazing way to greet the day with life affirming mantras, what you want to actually happen over your life. And of course, we this is our last SoulCare Saturday. I can't believe we've come to the end of what we are doing for this particular season this year. But again, we've had some amazing talks and chats since the beginning of the year. If you've missed them, for January, February, we skipped March, right? We did April, and again, we're here in June. Okay, so this is our last one for the season. If you missed the other 3, I believe that we did, you want to go back and watch them. Okay, you can watch them via our Project Resiliency Movement page or on Project Resiliency Movement's YouTube pages. Okay, so that's where we're live at today as well. We're live here on Project Resiliency Movement's Facebook page. And of course, we're live again on Project Resiliency Movement's YouTube page. But feel free to go back. We had some amazing chats. And of course, some amazing discussions about caring for your soul and mental health and wellness. Again, with myself, Dr. Clark, and the audience that was participating. So again, we love interactive audiences. We see some folks on here today. Dr. Maya Bowen, welcome. I see Tara's on. I see Hillary's on. I saw the good mornings in the chat. Jessica is here. Hi, Jessica. Welcome, you guys. And of course, if you're watching this live, we welcome you to SoulCare Saturday. If you're watching this via replay, again, we welcome you as well. So whether you're watching it live as we're going through and having this chat, and of course, we love interactive chats. Drop your commentary in the comments. We like to make it a part of the conversation and dialogue. Dr. Clark and I love to share your commentary and flow off of that. So yeah, we love to talk amongst and chit chat amongst ourselves, but we also love to interact with you live via the chat feed. So please drop your live thoughts and commentary about today's topic, which happens to be how to move from survival mode to thrival mode, right? So mentally, how do you actually mentally move your mindset and shift your mindset from survival mode to thrival mode? And of course, this is so timely as a topic. We are literally, we've come out of 9 months of pandemic, right? From 2020. Literally, guys, I don't know if you counted, but I counted. It was 9 months of pandemic that we basically have survived. And the world is opening back up. So a lot of, restaurants and, hotels and movie theater, and a lot of places that we would normally frequent are opening back up to full capacity. And, some of us are still kind of stuck in pandemic mode, still surviving pandemic mode. And so I think it's shifting gears. Life requires us to reset, recalibrate, and reset, and shift gears, right? And so this is a shift gear moment that we're in as the world is opening back up again to whatever type of normalcy you deem it. I personally feel that we'll never go back to what we knew then as life is normalcy. It will be a new normalcy, right? This is going to be a new normalcy, us living amidst a pandemic and still trying to navigate COVID, right? I think it's a new normalcy for us. So I think it's an important time to have this conversation and dialogue about how to move from survival mode, right? We've survived 9 months of a pandemic to how do you thrive? How do you kind of come out of this thing and, go full force and thrive amidst, all these outer layers kind of happening in your environment, in your outer world, and in your inner world that you're struggling with, right? So I thought it was a worthwhile conversation, definitely one that's timely. And I thought definitely one that we want to have for our last conversation for SoulCare Saturdays for 2021. So again, thank you for joining us. We welcome you. If you're just joining us, again, welcome to SoulCare Saturdays. This is a super interactive chat and dialogue around soul care, how to care for your soul, mental health and wellness, holistic healing, and so forth. And of course, I'm joined by my partner in crime, Dr. Angela Clack, the amazing Dr. Angela Clack, psychotherapist, and of course, a woman herself who specializes in women of color issues, and of course trauma and healing. So, with no better person to have this conversation and dialogue with, especially for us as women of color. And Dr. Clack, I want to start here. So something timely and prevalent has happened, right? We know Naomi Osaka stood up for her own mental health and wellness. And so before we get into, dig deeper into this topic, I want to get your opinion on, her prioritizing her health. I spoke about it live yesterday. I don't know if you saw it live, but and I've been posting things all week, giving her kudos, as an influencer, as somebody who people follow and know that to stand in a space and a gap for your own mental health and wellness and to prioritize that over something that is a major, part of your career is huge. And of course, I was basically saying it shouldn't be a debate, but for women of color, it always seems to be a debate when it comes to our mental health and wellness. So I wanted to get your opinion on that. And of course, could you guys drop in the chat, what are your thoughts about Naomi Osaka, the tennis player, choosing not to go to the French Open and prioritizing her mental health and wellness over this particular career moment?
Well, yes, of course, that was going to be a hot topic for me. But listen, let me start by saying, as a woman of a certain age, when you work out, you don't stop perspiring. So I'm sweating because I tried to get my workout on before the sun came, but the sun caught me. So you see me glistening, ladies.
Yes, honey. That's a glow. That's a glow.
I don't want to say that more than sweating. I'm glistening. But that is oh my gosh, I was so impressed. I was so proud of her courage. And then I was mad, and then I was angry, and then I was sad at the responses of people who just still do not get it. Here we just had a whole month of May of mental health awareness.
Mental Health Awareness Month. And
how much more?
I run my Strong Women Need Support the Most campaign. So for me, this is super timely. I'm like, oh my God, she's a strong woman who definitely in this space needs support the most. She needs allies and champions to back up her, affirming that this is her mental health is a priority for herself. It's so timely.
And one person who was her ally who came out was a male, Michael Phelps, because he understands, because he suffers with depression and other things that he went through as a result of being a performance athlete. And I think people think people are privileged, people with money, celebrities, athletes. People think that they have it all together. They got money. Why should they have any problems? Why should they be sad? And it has nothing to do with that. We know that mental health issues and mental health distress, supersedes all of those kinds of factors. But for her, I've been posting too, and I went on Clubhouse, and I was in one of the rooms. And I love being in a room with this attorney because he likes to provoke a conversation. And he said, he posed a question, something like, well, why should the media give people who have depression, or anxiety, why should they give them breaks or something like that? And I said, would you ask that same question of somebody who said, I can't show up for work today because I have to go get my dialysis. I can't show up for work today because I have chemotherapy. I have a broken leg. Because you can see their physical impairment, you don't make any kinds of inquiry.
Right.
You say, oh, yes. Okay, of course. We forgot about that. Oh, look at her. She doesn't look well. But because mental health is sometimes invisible, it is an invisible illness. We question people like, well, you don't look like you're anxious. You don't look like you're always depressed. You don't look like what you're going through.
But that makes it that goes back to the very statement of what does mental health and wellness really look like? Mm-hmm. I mean, like, is there a look for mental health and wellness?
It isn't.
There isn't a look.
It's a voice.
That's the elephant in the room right now.
It's a sound. Yeah. It's a sound. It's a cry. I need help. But I'm not going to walk around looking like I haven't eaten in 2 weeks. I didn't shower 2 weeks because of the stigma for particularly people of color. I'm going to push through and show up even when I'm not my best because I already know. And I said to him in that Clubhouse meeting, I said, you know what? I said, for women of color, there's always this other set of rules. There's all these other kind of things. And I said, I'll never forget that cartoon caricature that they did of Serena when she cracked her tennis racket. When she did, I'll never forget that cartoonist who created this over exaggeration of her when other male athletes have been angry and sad
all the time.
All the time. And I just said, we are always exploited. We're always misrepresented all the time. And then here you come with Naomi. And I said, boy, this just continues to say that no matter how much work we do in educating, there's still work to be done.
Still work to be done. And it was just powerful to me that a Black woman's mental health was still up for debate. Like, there's no debate. Like, I mean, if she was of another, race, would this even be a conversation?
Nope.
You know what I mean? Like,
a white woman, it would not be. Everybody would be rallying. You would see all the white actors and celebrities. Everybody would come out. You might even see. Now, I think one. I'm not sure if NAMI came out. National Institute of National Association. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I know that the APA came out with something about that. But you would see all those organizations supporting this white woman,
allying.
But no, you don't see. I haven't seen a lot. I see a lot of posts and I see a lot of articles.
The only major national brand that I saw recently, and correct me if I'm wrong, y'all. If y'all see something different, drop it in the comments. If we missed it, let us know. But I saw Nike come out. Nike came out and allied with her.
That's true. Yes, exactly. Kudos to Nike. Yes. Yeah. Yes, kudos to Nike. Yeah, now, whether there's
honestly,
agenda,
this is right on topic because, this woman, obviously, she felt like she probably was in survival mode for a while.
Absolutely. Right.
This tennis player felt like she was in survival mode for a while, right?
Yes.
So in order for her to thrive, she said, let me step back and focus on me.
Yeah.
And that's why I really brought it up because I wanted to put it in the topic in the frame of something that's relevant that somebody's going through right now that we all know about because it's in the public.
Can you
You
read
know?
Dr. Maya's? I love her comment here.
Yeah.
She
So I'm
said,
gonna.
yeah, go
Can
ahead.
you read it? Okay.
Yeah.
Um.
She said the official's harassment of her is a teaching moment because whether the aggression is macro or micro, it impacts women of color mentally. Miss Osaka had to pivot to save herself, and that was a power move. Yes, it absolutely was.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at Jessica Harris's comment. She says, that is such an important topic. I had to go through this year, changing the people who was around, changing what and who I allowed in my ear gates and what I was watching.
Mhm.
Also, just getting closer to God because of things that were occurring for me personally. I
Hmm.
had to shape my own personal development and allow the situations I was going through to be uh,
Yes.
growing moments. Wow, that's beautiful, Jessica. It was a
Yeah.
change in my own perspective. Good
Yes.
stuff. Good stuff.
Yes, yes. I love, first of all, let me say, Dr. Eti, thank you for bringing that in because I love that you have used that as a pivot for this conversation, in that we are 6 months into the year. And if you haven't already made a pivot, maybe this will also give you the courage to speak up and assert yourself in ways where you might need to pivot. So thank you for bringing that up. I think this is such a pivotal moment, and it saddens me because it takes situations like these sometimes to get us motivated to make these really these strong moves in our community. And then we go along for a while, and then we kind of fall off our momentum. So I hope that this opens the door for other athletes, other performance athletes. And I mean, performance athletes could be our high schoolers who are working on college scholarships to get into a particular school. Their performance athletes, their scholarships and getting into the university of their choice could be contingent upon how well they do in their athletic sport. That's a lot of pressure. So any performance athlete, it could be any sport, are under a tremendous amount of pressure to be successful. And I don't think people realize that. So thank you to Naomi, and I'm praying for her, her family, and her community, but also for anyone out there who is struggling with anxiety or depression, who needs a voice. Naomi has given us an open door. I love what the doctor said here in terms of this is a power move. Make your own power move. So when we get into the conversation about how do you go from, if you missed, like Dr. Althea said, if you missed the other topics, we were talking about going from being a victim to surviving to thriving. When you get into that place of thriving, that's your power move. So when Dr. Althea comes on, we're going to talk about what is your power move? What is your pivot?
Absolutely. So, all good stuff, and keep the commentaries going, you guys. We want to make sure that we chime in and make you a part of this important conversation. Yeah, power moves are huge, right? So, let's get into the elephant in the room, because I love to like really tackle the
I
elephant in the
know.
room, right? Like, let's get it out the way. So the elephant in the room is really shifting, right? The willingness to move, like you said, move, shift, pivot. You know what I'm saying? Align. Reset. But it all requires action, right? So the elephant in the move is shifting, action, moving, resetting, all of that, right? So anytime that you actually are making a decision to not go, not just coast or go along with the flow, and you actually are kind of choosing resistance, right? You're choosing resistance, and so every time you choose resistance, it requires more of you,
Yes.
right? It requires more of you to make a conscious decision. Hi Monique, welcome honey. To shift and pivot, right? And it's a courageous decision because sometimes this decision requires you to shift and pivot from the folks around you, right? In order to thrive, you've got to change something. It could be changing and shifting your environment, changing and shifting your company,
Mm-hmm.
changing and shifting whatever it is. It requires you to change and shift something. So I wanted you to talk a little bit about that, Dr. Clack. It's like, so the elephant in the room is movement, shifting, pivoting, right? What is that? Would that be an elephant in the room? How, how does one do that related to, coming out of a pandemic and trying to like move out of that pandemic mode to back and get themselves back into some type of, movement towards thriving? Like, how do they actually tangibly do that?
Well, I love the connection again to our starting point with being our baseline, which is the pandemic. And many of us needed the pandemic, whether we know it or not, and we are not dismissing anybody's misfortune or loss. Many of us were very complacent, too comfortable. We were very in a stagnant place. The pandemic was a shakeup for many of us. It personally was for me in many ways. And so I say never, you'll hear this, and I need people not to be sensitive today. Never let a good crisis go to waste. You need to get something out of things you go through. So from that, I could say, hey, in that 9 months, we were in crisis. So I decided, I don't care. I'm going to eat everything I want to eat. I'm not going to do nothing because we're all in the same boat and we'll all come. Or I could say, how can I best use this time? Because now I'm shifting and pivoting by force, not by choice. Right. And so that's going to be the telling point of how we come out of this. How do we make a choice in that time is going to be reflected in how we come out of it. So if for some reason I decided to change my practice at that time, or my business model, or my fitness game, or maybe I decided that, wow, my mental health really was impacted, this is a good time to get therapy because now everybody's talking about it and I was so scared. So there's so many things that could have got highlighted for us during those 9 months, which really, let's extend that into the next year. We're still
Absolutely. We're still in it.
We're still in it.
Even though the world's opening back up.
Just because the world's opening back up. And do you know how many people now are still anxious about coming back into the world? So we're still mental health focused, right?
Exactly.
So because of that, what you learned in those 9 months should be a springboard for how you thrive. And if you didn't, if you feel like, oh my gosh, I'm behind the 8-ball, y'all talking about this and I didn't use my time. Good. Make sure you take notes today because we're going to help you, because it's never too late for your wellness. It is never too late. You just have to decide to start.
Man. And choosing to start sometimes is the hardest part. And I think for some of us, in order to start, we have to reset, right?
Absolutely.
So it's like, okay, I'm choosing to reset so that I can start differently, right? And that's a choice.
Yes.
So if you're in that space, Dr. Clack, where you're like in between making the choice to choose to reset, to start something different, right? And align with a different path. How do you make that transition? Like, how do you move from that side of the fence to the other? Like,
yeah, well, number one, I think that you choose life or death, period. The word says the power of death and life is on your tongue. You have to choose life or death, and death could be physical death if I don't take care of myself, but death could be destruction. I've lost and I'm continuing to lose. So I can choose life. I can choose thriving. I can choose joy. I can choose vitality. This is a choice. I mean, honestly, because this is our last one, I'm just going to come out with double barrel shotgun.
Come on now.
Choose life or death. If you're being stagnant and complacent, only you have the power to change your life. You have the power to change the trajectory of where you go. And I had to do that for myself. 9 months ago, whatever, I decided my physical health was being impacted and I made a decision. And there are days where I don't want to work out, but I think about how far I've come and I say, I won't go back. That's a choice.
That's a choice.
Or if I'm starting to do my running and I stop and say, man, look, I got a half a mile, I can walk the last half. That's a choice. Or I can say, man, dang, look how far you came. Why would you waste that half a mile? And I push myself. That's a choice. Today, it's as simple as making the choice. The hard work is the work after you make the choice.
Right.
Today, make a choice, set goals, And I see that Dr. Bowen has suggested the SWOT analysis. You can do
Yes.
SWOT analysis. You can use SMART goals. You can hire a coach. You can hire a therapist. You can see a nutritionist. You can go to your primary care and say, hey, let me start with my blood work.
Yep.
Start somewhere right today. Today. Even if it's just grabbing your journal, dusting it off, putting the date and time and say, this is where I'm starting today. Start somewhere today. Now, let's say you've already started and you feel like, okay, I'm in a good place. I've started. I've journal every day. I pray. I come on. I listen to you guys. I follow great podcasts. Let's say you've been surviving and you just want to kind of top it off on the thriving mode. So once you've made that decision and you say, okay, some people are at the beginning, get your notebook out and say, this is where I'm starting today. Get your team together. It depends on where you are. Start where you are. If I'm not feeling well, you might want to start with a physician. If I've been sitting around a lot, you might want to start with a personal trainer. If my mind has been really racing and I feel down a lot, or I've had a lot of losses, you might want to start with a therapist. Some of us can do all of that. Good, awesome, that's a blessing. But start where you are today. So that's my first step. Start where you are and make a plan to go from where you are.
This just came to mind. You know, we've lost so many people to the pandemic, and what if folks are suffering from survivor remorse? You know, so it's like, so the reason why they feel like they can't move forward or are stagnant and are stuck in a place is because they're still holding on to the loss.
Yeah.
You know, and the loss doesn't go away. Don't get me wrong. Grief is a whole process and a journey and a path, and it's an individual one for everyone. So let me just put that disclaimer out there.
Yes.
And I'm not minimizing anybody's grieving period.
Absolutely.
But in the same process, if you're in a space where you are, you know, you can't move forward because of survivor remorse. How do we, go, from a mental health perspective, how do we even address that or tackle that?
That's a tough one because that's a lot of guilt, and it's a lot of guilt around things you cannot control. You couldn't stop the person if they chose to take their own life. You couldn't stop them you couldn't stop COVID or the corona if it was a complication of that, or if someone has, it was an unfortunate and abrupt, like there's nothing we can do. So you have to measure it first. Like, I had to accept that it was out of my control. If you think in some way that it was something that you did, that's a conversation to probably have with either a pastor or a therapist, so that you can work through releasing that guilt, because that's a very deep kind of thing that really needs to be worked through. And it's not something, like you said, it's not easy to overcome. Sometimes it's because of the relationship we had with the person or people that we're living with that remorse. It could have been that I didn't get to say goodbye, we weren't speaking for 10 years, or we had a fight. Whatever that is, whatever that thing is, or we were best friends or something, that's something that needs, that maybe be worked through. Not maybe, that's something that needs to be worked through on a deeper level.
Oh yeah, for sure.
No shame, because
no shame and no shame.
And that's what they're going to go for, is to release the shame and the guilt that I had no control over the timing that the person left me.
Yeah. And so I just wanted to address that, because sometimes we lose sight of that. And I mean, we can't lose sight of that because a lot of people are suffering from loss, all types of loss, losing parents, losing loved ones. It's been a tough 9 months.
Yes.
And it will continue to be for a while, so it's like in our face. It's inevitable. We can't control it. Right. We can't stop it. It's happening and it's real. And some of us are losing people to gun violence in the midst of a pandemic, losing people to COVID. So it's just all types of loss out here. I didn't want to lose sight of the fact that I know a lot of people are feeling like their lives probably are on hold. Maybe they're taking care of a sick loved one, or maybe they're putting things off because of a loved one that they're waiting to see how their health is going to go. So for the person in that space, maybe they haven't lost the person yet, but they're kind of like, in a holding pattern. Is probably my best term for it, because they're kind of waiting to see how their loved one's health might go before they even kind of can move forward, whatever life has for them. They put it on pause. how does a person in that space kind of like tackle, surviving, trying to thrive in the middle of surviving?
Yeah. So with that, you and I know we talk about self-care all the time. So we're talking about
Yeah.
people who may be having compassion fatigue, caregiver fatigue, because they are spending their days and nights taking care of someone who may be very dependent on them. And so they don't get out and get to do and live in the ways that they would if the person didn't rely on them. And we have lots of folks who are doing that. With the pandemic, sometimes the residual effect of the coronavirus has less people living with some kind of impairment. So they need a daughter or a son or a sister or loved one. So sometimes our life changes. So the life that we fantasized, or the life we were living, or we were like, oh, I'm in the prime of my life, my kids are in college, I just retired, and then boom, something shifts, pivots, right, in a different direction, where we're needing to be a caregiver in some fashion. And so with that, we want to encourage people to reach out for support. There are people who literally have no one. I do have people that I talk to that they're taking care of a parent who they were estranged from. They may be taking care of a spouse they were estranged from, but that person has no one else. And out of the compassion and goodness of their heart, they still are taking care of that person. And it's hard because there's resentment sometimes, right? This is not where I thought I would be right now in my life. And so with that, they need to be loved on a lot. So we just encourage them to reach out for support, because it may not be blood kin for support. You might benefit from a caregiver support group. Your support may come from a therapist. Your support may not come from the places that you thought they would, but self-care is going to be critically important for them.
Can you?
So Monique shares, we live in a society where excuses are no more. We have more resources than we've ever had before. It starts with acknowledgement to begin that journey towards good mental and physical health. I absolutely agree, Monique. And that journey is really about where we're talking about in terms of thriving. And there is no mental without physical, and there's no physical without mental, right? So mind, body, soul, and spirit are all connected. And I encourage everyone, start where you are. So start today. Your journey can start today, and you can look back. I love what she says, like, there are no more excuses. We do have a lot of resources, right? We do have a lot of resources. In areas where the resources are a little bit scant, you may have to stretch a little bit further to get what you need. Yeah, I was reading Monique's.
Yeah. That's exactly what I wanted you to do.
I thought you were when you were looking.
Yeah. That's exactly what I wanted you to do. Like I have 4 strategies in terms of moving from survival to thrival mode. But I before we did that, I just wanted to kind of get from you, from a mental health perspective, do you have a couple of key strategies that you've kind of put together you always have something you put together for our folks to walk away with? Just a couple things that they can kind of like take with them. They can apply it, right? And of course, it's everything is subject to the individual and how they apply it, but just some general tips, tools, and strategies from a mental health perspective. And we love that you bring that perspective to the table, because sometimes we have the other just kind of like perspective, but we don't have from a mental health perspective, like, how do we approach this? So I just wanted to kind of let you have the opportunity in the floor to kind of like share your nuggets, jewels, and gems for folks in terms of like, how do they tangibly do this from a mental health perspective?
So the first thing is choose you. I always say, choose you. You are the only person who is going to make yourself a priority, who is going to make sure that you get what you need. You are the only person. And because as women, particularly women of color, we spend so much of our time choosing others and choosing other things. And other things are also things that we use as vices to manage our mental wellness. So it could be drinking, smoking, shopping. But this time, choose you in a healthy way. Choose you, put you first. Secondly, start where you are. Start your journey right now even if you're already thriving, what can you do to even make that consistent? Because that's going to be my third thing, is consistency. But right now is to make good choices. Make good choices. Choose you, make healthy choices, make priorities that focus on your mental and physical wellness. How does that look? I would say literally get a piece of paper, put quadrants on it, and label them: mental, physical, emotional, social, relational, financial. Please do not forget financial, because sometimes we think we can't afford to eat well. We can't afford to take trips. Sometimes we think we can't afford to do things that are considered a luxury. There's no better luxury than your health. There is none.
Absolutely.
You cannot top it off.
And let's do that right now. Let's, if you're watching this, make those quadrants. Dr. Clack, go over those quadrants one more time. I
Okay,
encourage you guys
sure.
to do that right as you're watching this live.
Okay. Mental, physical, emotional, financial, social. Oh, social. I forgot social. Spiritual. Social and relational can go together, and spiritual.
Got it. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, and there's no better luxury than yourself. So make yourself your luxury. So people say, well, I can't afford to eat healthy. Yeah, you can. It's about how you plan out your meals, where you shop, and how you shop. That's that. I used to say that too, like, oh, getting well is, now I found out you can do that. So choose you, make healthy choices, set those quadrants up for you. Start where you are, start your journey now. And my biggest one is choose joy.
Yeah.
Find what brings you joy and make it last. That is, to me, if someone says, what's the difference between surviving and thriving, would be that. It is find your joy.
Yep. So important. That's on my list too. So, that, great minds think alike. Absolutely. Yes. And joy is so crucial and essential to thriving. Or just kind of like staying in thrival mode for me.
And thank you, Monique. She put those on there. Thank you, Monique.
Thank you, Monique, for being our scribe. We always have a scribe for every show. And Monique, it looks like it's you today. Thank you so much. Those are amazing, from a mental health perspective, like really super simple tips that you guys can take as strategies to walk away with. Drop your thoughts. Are you guys using those strategies currently? Are they things that you will think about using? Are there things to encourage you in your process? Maybe you already are on the right track, but it just kind of like confirms exactly what you're doing is on the right track. We want to hear your commentary. Are there things that you haven't thought about or haven't had time to think about or haven't put much thought into? We want to know, are you currently using those strategies, or are there strategies that you will put in place? Please drop that in the comments, okay? All right, so as per usual, Dr. Clack always has her mental health perspective in terms of like her gems and jewels, and I dropped the practical, so life practical application, right? So that's where I come in. So as a life coach, so again, I have 4 strategies that I have kind of just utilized for myself to move from survival to thrival mode, and I don't believe in giving anybody any gems and jewels or nuggets that I haven't tested myself. So these are things that I put in place for myself, and I love sharing things that I use. They, of course, it might apply differently for you, but again, they're just guidelines, and you take what's yours, and if it doesn't, if something's not for you, that's okay too. But we like to give you as many options and opportunities to lean in, and to have some things to kind of take with you as lessons, tools, and nuggets. So, of course, for me, the first one is for the 4 strategies that I have for moving from survival to thrival mode. The first one is meaningful connections.
Ooh.
Right? So embracing and recognizing failure as learning opportunities. And they're opportunities for you to lean in. So, I failed at a lot of things, and I'm going to say that publicly, and I'm okay with it. Like I've tried a lot of things. I failed a lot of things.
Me too.
But at the end of the day, I've learned a lot of lessons, right?
Yeah.
And I've made a lot of meaningful connections as a result of the things that I failed at. So connections based on just the lessons that I've learned, and even connections to things that I've tried in collaborations with other people. So one of the things that I've actually learned is that there's you have to have a meaningful connection, and the meaningful connection has to start with you, right? And you've got to understand.
So your relationship with yourself.
Yes, yes. And so you've got to tap into you first, right? And embrace and recognize that there's so many opportunities, especially learning opportunities from failure, from things that you're going to fail at. So it's okay to fail. There's favor in failure. You can survive failure.
And that can you say maybe how people should I don't like should, how it would benefit people to redefine failure?
That's my second point.
Oh,
you're on it. We're simpatico.
Okay, let me shut up. Okay.
No, it's okay. It's okay. It's all good. I'm going right there. So my second point would be I call it flip failure.
Oh, yes. Oh.
So I'm flipping failure. So what if you didn't fear failure? It would be my question to you to think about that. So what if there wasn't a space that you held for failure in your life? What could your life be like if you didn't hold space for failure?
Oh my gosh, hold on. Wait. You got to give me a minute. Say that again. Holding space for failure?
Yeah. So because you do, right? So like if you are leaning into fear, you're holding space for it in your life. You're holding space for it and you're letting it hold you captive.
Wow.
Right? So what if you actually dismantled that and actually didn't hold space for failure in your life? What could happen if you didn't hold space for failure in your life? What could the possibilities for your life look like if you didn't? And I'm taking you completely out of the box right now. Like I'm out of the box person, so I know for a lot of people this is like, whoa, totally out of the box. But I like to go out of the box because that's where I operate best. So
I can only imagine what your coaching clients get, because this is good.
They get a lot. They get a lot of this. So this is just a taste of what they get. I take them completely out the box. Their own boxes, the boxes that the biggest box they could imagine for themselves. We go way out the box.
I love this.
So on top of that, I would just say, if you want to innovate, grow, connect, and thrive, you need to embrace failure. So I'm gonna say that one more time. If you want to innovate, grow, connect, and thrive, you need to embrace and lean into failure. It's okay to fail. So let's just take that elephant out. Let's just dismantle that little elephant. It's okay to fail. Failure's all right, as long as you take what you need from it, right? To then and lean into the process. Take what you need from the process, so you can make whatever you're trying to do better, the next thing better, right? But there's so many lessons and opportunities from failure. So flip failure, right? Consider it an opportunity, right? And dismantle it. What if it didn't exist? What if you didn't hold space for it? Stop holding space for failure, right?
I like that.
All right, y'all ready for the third one? So the third one is imperfection.
Oh,
I want to go here. I'm going after every elephant in the room when it comes to moving from survival mode to thrival mode. So imperfection. Here's what I learned. Happy is better.
Dr. Arthur, can I challenge while you're going to the next one, can I challenge people watching to come up with another word for failure?
Yes.
And post it.
I love that.
Because one of the things that I'm learning
word for failure
is you and I always talk about the power of language. And because you're redefining it for them and for us,
Flip
is there another word? Yeah, like a setback. What other word can we say? I want to learn because I need some new words. Okay, I'm ready for 3. I'm sorry.
All right. So 3 is imperfection, but I love that challenge to redefine, create a different definition for failure. Drop that in the comments. Please continue to do that as I'm doing the third one. So the third one is imperfection, right? So this is another challenge. What if I challenge you to think that happy is better than perfect?
That's a drop the bomb right there.
Yeah. So
Wow.
this is redefining your thought process a little bit. So
Wow.
go here with me. What if you thought about happy is better than perfect?
Oh, this
Right?
is for me. This one's for me.
So think about that for a minute, okay?
Woo.
So learning, so
Falling short.
leading into imperfection is crucial, right? And understanding that it's better to lean into imperfection and be happy than be in a pursuit of perfect.
Whoa.
I'm gonna try to repeat that one more time because I know it's like a mind blowing out of the box concept. But what if you dismantled the whole idea of perfect and made an intentional choice to focus on being happy rather than being perfect?
That's good. Very
Right?
good.
And then what if you leaned into imperfection, right? And used it as a tool as opposed to striving for perfection, right? Which doesn't yield you happiness.
That's true. And yield you anxiety.
Imagine what could happen. Imagine what could happen if you didn't lean into perfection and you leaned into your imperfections and were happy with your imperfections.
Yes, yes.
What would happen is that you would have a more balanced life.
Yes.
That's what would happen.
Wow.
It took me a long time to learn this lesson, but I learned it.
That's
and it blew my mind. It blew my mind. When God dropped this in my lap, I was like, whoa. I was busy trying to be perfect and not valuing the imperfect parts of myself. And it was the imperfections that God wanted to use in the first place. So it was like, I'm busy over here trying to be perfect, right? And he's like, I want to use your imperfections. I know who you are at the core. I made you. Walk in the imperfections. Be happy with the imperfections. You're going to thrive once you lean into the imperfections. And I have. Amazing. I make a living focusing on my imperfections and sharing my imperfect parts with other people and coaching them in terms of how to lean in and value their imperfections and using them as a tool.
Oh my goodness. That is good.
Okay, so imperfection, lean in. Your happiness is there. Your balanced life is in your imperfections. Yes. Lean in.
That's good.
You will thrive once you lean into imperfections and give up this whole perfection pursuit. The pursuit of perfect. Give it up. Stop
I like
it.
That.
As my toddler side likes to say, stop it. And the last one I have is that I personally tapped into for myself is elevate meaning. Elevate meaning. Okay. So do you feel like in your life you have meaning and joy every single day from the work that you do or just from your life itself? So think about that question. Think about that question.
Say it slow.
Do you feel every single day that you have meaning and joy every day from your life? With the work you do or just how you show up in the world? Right? You got to have meaning in your life. And meaning is tied to joy. What brings you joy? What brings you joy will then allow you to thrive.
Yeah.
So if you elevate and have meaning, if you create meaning through following the pursuits of the things that bring you joy, you will thrive in those areas.
I like that because some people don't feel like joy is attainable because I don't think I think the world has defined joy for people.
I think you have to define what joy means for you. And it took me a long time to understand that joy is what I make it.
Yes.
What joy means for me is personal.
Yes.
What joy means for you is personal.
That's right.
What brings you joy is personal. What makes your heartstrings happy is what I call it.
Yes.
What are the things that makes your heartstrings happy? Diligently pursue those things.
Yes.
And you will thrive.
You got it. You got it. I love that. That's the one we both thought about. Choose joy. This
Right.
day, choose
So,
joy.
and that
This
goes back to the
day.
whole point, the whole point, which is elevating meaning, creating meaning. When you pursue joy, you create meaning in your
Like
life
that.
because you're pursuing the things that evoke joy and create
Yeah.
joy. And your life will have meaning as a result of your pursuit of joy.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So discover ways to bring meaning and joy back to your life is my last commentary.
I love
Keep
that.
and that's a lifelong pursuit, y'all.
It is.
It doesn't stop.
Daily.
It doesn't stop. I'm still pursuing
Daily.
things and going after things that evoke joy in my life. I'm still trying to find new ways to bring joy into my life. I'm still trying to find new things that create my heartstring, make my heartstrings happy. That's a lifelong pursuit. It doesn't stop.
Yes.
If
And
you
so
do
it's
it right,
renewing
you'll
your
be doing
mind.
it till the day you die. If you do it
Renewing
right,
your mind daily. Renew your mind daily.
daily.
Yeah.
Daily. And this is a bonus one. So this is my bonus one, right? So I wasn't going to do this one, but this is my bonus one. I'm giving y'all a fifth one as a bonus, okay? Every day is a blank slate.
Oh, I like that.
Every day is a blank slate. Think about a blank sheet of paper, right? And every day you fill it up with all these. Think about if you take a like a to-do list or things that you have a blank sheet of paper and you write all these things you have to get done and do and and go after whatever and it's just all over the place. The people you have to call, the people you have to contact, the folks you got to get, the things you have to handle, and you write everything that is a part of your day on that blank sheet of paper, right? It probably looks like this, scribble things all over it. Right? You have an opportunity every day to create a blank sheet of paper. And to make that paper what you want it to be. Every day is a blank slate.
Wow. I love that.
And so I wake up that day. So yeah, yesterday was horrible. It was messy. It was difficult. It was frustrating. Today's a blank slate. Brand new piece of paper. Brand new piece of paper. I have the ability to to write on my paper what I want that day to be.
That's good.
Every day's
all of them were good. Oh my gosh, they're blowing my mind. I'll be thinking about these all day today.
And this is what I tell my clients. They were like, "Oh my God, this is happening. This is happening. This happened. Okay, all right. What when you wake up tomorrow, what is tomorrow?" And my clients that I've worked with for a long time notice they're like, every day's a blank slate. Tomorrow's a brand new day. A white piece of paper. I get to write on it what I want it to be. Absolutely.
Yeah. Even I was thinking the analogy of the chalkboard. Some people use the chalkboard now because with the chalkboard you can erase and start over.
Yeah, start over. You can erase and start over. Right. Or if you're writing, you get a brand new piece of paper every single day. A brand new piece of paper. So the chalkboard analogy works that you can erase it and have a blank board, or you can choose to get a brand new piece of paper and make it a white crisp piece of paper to start your day.
That's good. That's really good. That's awesome.
Okay, it's 9:53. I can't believe we're here already.
Boy, I'll tell you what, I hope that people were with us from the beginning because they just have so much information to survive, to use as their survival strategy. Today's, but also all the time we've been together. I've learned a lot from you and through you. So I thank you for sharing your journey. I thank you and this is personal for you, Dr. Althea. I thank you for your transparency. I thank you for your compassion and courage to take care of and love on other women. I thank you for allowing your journey to be witnessed by others. And I thank you for inviting me into your community to be a part of this journey where we are pouring into women, where I also get poured into. So I want to thank you. I know that you popped off screen, but I know that you can hear me. So as we are bringing it home and wrapping it up for our last 6 minutes, I want you to know how much I value you, how much I appreciate you, and how much I love you.
Yeah. So this has been an amazing chat. Like y'all, I'm so grateful for Dr. Clack to have donated her time, y'all. And she was only gonna do like 2 sessions, y'all. You know, listen, I'm transparent. I have nothing to hide. She was only going to do 2 sessions with us, and I convinced her to do
Yes,
to
you
do 4.
did. You did.
And that was for y'all. Like I advocated for y'all to get all this good juicy gems and juice from a mental health perspective, because I really think that we've survived a lot this year.
We did.
And these conversations are so worthwhile. These conversations have definite benefit. And again, these conversations are not just for you to benefit from. Actually make sure that you share this with people in your circle. Like send them this actual live. Send the people that you care about this live. The people that are struggling in survival mode and trying to figure out how to thrive, send them this live. Like, be a good accountability partner. Send them the information. Share it with them. Share. Subscribe to our PRM YouTube page. We have so much amazing content going on. At the end of the day, it's so amazing to actually know that you can really, really shift from surviving to thriving. And it's a choice, right? It's an action. It's a choosing to move. It's choosing to pivot. It's choosing to go against the grain, right? It's probably the best I have to say, because sometimes your thriving means that you're going against everything that everybody in your circle is telling you. Sometimes thriving means having to change your circle and sit at different seats and tables, right? For people that are on your same wavelength. I always talk about wavelengths and frequencies, right? So, sometimes that is what thriving looks like. So I want to challenge you in these last couple minutes to think about, what does thriving look like for you? Drop that in the comments. What does thriving look like for you? What is it going to require from you? And sometimes thriving requires sacrifice. I always talk about sacrifice. It will require you to sacrifice something in order for you to thrive, right? I had to choose joy, right? And that meant I had to actually separate myself from things that didn't evoke joy from me, right? That was a sacrifice, right? I had to remove things from me that didn't naturally evoke joy in me. And that could be people or things, right? But again, it's a choice. So I want you to share in the comments, what are you gonna have to shift or pivot or sacrifice to thrive, to create a space for thriving to happen in your life, right? It probably means you're gonna have to actually not hold space for fear anymore, right? To not hold actual space for fear, to dismantle fear. And think about all the things that we talked about between Dr. Clack and myself, right? Making sure that you flip failure and imperfections, and elevating meaning, and of course meaningful connections, right? And the power of choice, right? Dr. Clack talked about. What does that look like? What does your thriving look like? What will you have to separate yourself from, shift, pivot, do different to thrive? We want to hear from you in these last couple minutes. If there's questions you have from Dr. Clack in these last 2 minutes that you specifically have about how to move from survival mode to thriving, now's a chance. Drop your questions in the comments. Okay? If we don't answer them live on this chat, Dr. Clack will be happy, I'm sure, to go back and address them beyond the live. Okay? This is your moment. This is what we're here for. This is your moment.
Wow. I love what Hillary said.
Yeah.
Thriving requires sacrifices. It's not pretty. Be ready for the pain, the hurt, frustration it will come with.
Yes, absolutely.
Wait till you come out the other side.
Wait till you come out the other side, honey. Wait till that joy and that glow up starts coming, right? Because you're choosing joy.
Oh, yeah. It says, I got to wake up, dress up, and show up. But
come on now.
The glow up need to be
glow up, honey. Your glow up is gonna look really different once you choose joy.
Yeah,
once you don't hold.
That's my number 6 on your list.
Yeah,
the glow up.
The glow up. Once you don't hold space for failure, right? Right. Once you wake up every day with a blank slate and start with fresh every day. Those are choices, y'all. These are actual choices, right? And every day choose Choose and make the choice. Make the choice. Make the choices that's going to bring you joy, that's going to allow you to thrive, that's going to allow you to lean into the better parts of you, and that's going to bring you happiness, right? Choose you. Choose happiness. Choose joy. Choose to thrive.
Amen.
It's 10 o'clock. Those are my last comments. What are your last words, Dr. Clack?
My last words are to choose you, find those things that make you happy, redefine and stop using failure or stop making room for it. I love that. I'm going to carry that with me from here on out about not making space for failure, but choose you. Start today, start where you are. And I'd love to hear through Dr. Althea from today in the next couple of weeks, the pivot you've made, and then
yes,
you've been blessed by.
Come back here and share your how you've chosen joy and how you've let go of failure and the difference it's made. Come back here and share that. We want to hear from you. If you're choosing to kind of move forward with some of the gems and jewels we've shared, we want to hear the application, the life application. You've applied it and what has changed. Do you feel more joyful? Do you feel more happiness? It's a choice, y'all. Monique Dewberry, I love this comment. I'm going to close out with you. Thriving feels like teeth grinding sacrifices. Looks like taking the first breath after having it knocked out of you, and sounds like angels rejoicing. Yes. All of that. The sum parts total of all of that. It is, and it's real. What you shared is super real. It's not always pretty. It can be painful, right? But choose you, right? It might require sacrifice. It might be messy, but choose you, right? It might require you to hold your breath and jump and leap, but choose you, right? Right. It might require you to walk away and not look back, but choose you. All of that is what it takes to move from survival to thrival mode. And Dr. Clack, I want to thank you one more time for being our amazing guest for the SoulCare Saturday series. It's been a pleasure navigating this journey with you for the last couple months. And of course, we hope to bring Dr. Clack back next January when we start this process all over again.
I look forward to that. If I have, I'm going to take some time off anyway, so January will be fresh. Absolutely.
All fresh, honey, right? With some brand new topics that we're going to put in front of you guys about how to care for your soul, how to care for your mental health and wellness, and holistic healing. It's what we do, and we address the elephants in the room when it comes to mental health and wellness. That's what we do. We attack those things that would be defeatist attitudes, and we dismantle those things that would stifle or stunt your growth mentally and otherwise. So again, I want to just thank you again, Dr. Clack, for keep showing up, for being who you are, for sharing parts of your expertise and your practice. And we thank you again for every contribution that you've made to making SoulCare Saturday a success. Until next season, we don't call it the season.
Hey,
we're wrapping up this season.
Summer, everybody.
Right? Have an amazing summer, you guys. We'll continue and come back with some fresh information and material, all to benefit you, your mental health and wellness, and your soul. Starting again next January 2022. So stay tuned. Again, go back and watch the replays if you've missed any of the 4 sessions. They've all been amazing, and they all have benefits that you can take away, just like this one. So be sure to go back and watch the other ones that we've actually done too. The other 3 before these that we've done, starting from January leading into this last one. So again, we wish you all an amazing Saturday. And enjoy the rest of your SoulCare Saturday, guys. It's been a pleasure taking this ride with you. Peace and blessings, and we'll see you again for SoulCare Saturday, January 2022. Take care, y'all.
Bye.